Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. So let's click resume. And now last time we were here on Vulcanus and we had a bit of a problem, and that problem was this guy. So we have our tungsten here, which we want to mine, and this guy is just being very annoying in the vicinity, preventing us from doing anything. So we need to either deal with him or steal some tungsten out from under him. And we're going to start working on plans to deal with him. So we have to go back to this planet. And theoretically, I should have... Let's see here. Poison capsules. Yes, so we need coal, steel plate, and electronic circuits. And apparently these are good against him. So let's set up, just find some empty space that's not going to be missed anywhere. How about like up here? So we get an assembler, a requester chest feeding into it, and another one feeding out of it. Alright, so this is going to get coal, steel plates, and green circuits. And then you are going to make the poison capsules. And we're going to want a pretty significant chunk of them. The things that I've read involve throwing hundreds of them. So let's also get some defender capsules in, I guess, because we might as well. So this all goes like that, gets powered on, and this is gear wheels, piercing ammo, green circuits. So you get green circuits, gear wheels, and piercing ammo. Which, did I ever make that, or did I just not put it in the... Yeah, okay, so I have piercing ammo, I just need to put it in the drone network. So you get that, and we only need like a couple stacks of it. And then speaking of only needing a couple stacks, we should limit that and limit that. Alright, so that is going. And then the other thing I would want... Let's see, did I ever unlock the tank? I did. Alright, so let's get one of those crafted as well, which is going to involve doing this whole process. So we have that. We have you and you. We finished steel plate productivity. That's nice. And follow robot count. We're actually going to be using that soon for the defender capsules. So this is steel plates, gears, red circuits, and engines. Steel plates, gears, red circuits, and engine units. And then we're also going to need some cannon shells. Which, did we ever craft explosives? Is that a thing that we did? I don't think so, actually. So we're going to get this set up just in case we did and I'm missing it. But we need steel plates, plastic, and explosives. steel plates, plastic, and explosives. And sure enough, we are missing explosives. Alright, so how do you make explosives? Coal, sulfur, water. So we need to find somewhere with a water pipe, and then just bring in coal and sulfur. Alright, so let's grab this. And you can make explosives. Are they in some fancy building? Yes, they're in a chemical plant. Okay, let's get a chemical plant down then. Which apparently I have somewhere. And then you make explosives with... Actually, coal is right here, so I don't even need to do anything crazy for that. And then sulfur isn't right here. So you are going to be requesting some sulfur. And then that all gets output to there. And we get a power line in. And that should give us tank shells eventually. Wait, no, that power line needs to be moved slightly. So we need that to actually insert to anything relevant. Alright, so that's all set up. And let's make sure to limit this to just a couple of stacks. And do the same thing with the tank shells. Cyan, hello. We are setting up a whole bunch of military... Okay, you don't need to make a billion tanks. You can stop that. I set these down already, right? Yes, I did. Alright, follower robot count is good. Okay, so basically everything I would want requires types of science which I don't currently have. So I could just do more steel plate productivity or mining productivity, but that seems not ideal. So how do you make yellow science? What goes into that? Processing units, flying robot frames, low density structures. Alright, that kind of is awful, but I guess we'll get it a little bit started. So you can do utility science, and you get processing units, low density structures, and flying robot frames. And then you get powered on, and then you can just output directly into that. And that'll be a bit scuffed, and probably we need to put the flying robot frames in the logistics network. So let's get one of these guys in and limit you to just a couple of stacks and give you a power pole. Alright, so now we have flying robot frames, so we should have a very, very small supply of yellow science, which means we can do some researches in here. Like, if we're planning to be fighting the Demolishers, physical projectile damage probably seems like it's going to be pretty important. So let's just queue that up. And it'll take quite a while to get properly set up, but it'll get there eventually. Alright, so we have 1 billion spare tanks, and we have all the rest of this stuff crafting. Then we we go over here. This is making our yellow science, and it seems to be mostly working, at least for now. At least for now, that seems fine. It's quite likely we'll run out of blue circuits or something. How much does this take? 0.11 blue circuits, 0.17 low density structures. Okay, that's actually not that bad. Like, we can probably manage that. And that's fine then. So this is going. Research is happening. I want to leave it as going pretty slowly because I don't really have that much spare resources to just use for that. Alright, so we have some of these guys. 71 poison capsules. And I want to bring over a couple stacks of these. So let's set this up. So, okay, instead of this, we're going to want to clear that out and add a section. We want this to give us a couple stacks of cannon shells, just in case. And we want, what else here would be nice? None of that stuff. We want one tank. Actually, these rocket capacities of one. Yeah, let's do one tank. And then we need to get a couple hundred poison capsules. And like maybe 100 defender capsules. Apparently most of this other stuff doesn't even work on them. So that's all set up. And the platform should be fine to go. So let's have you go back there where you can get all of this stuff supplied, and then that will be good. Alright, so these should be finished crafting, probably. Poison capsule crafting is a bit slow, but they should be finished crafting by the time that shows up, if all goes to plan. Which, our coal supply looks a bit sketch at the moment. It's because we're running all of the steam turbines during the nighttime to prevent us from completely getting obliterated with power demand. That's something that I need to fix, but I can't quite fix just now. So this is still going. It's got all the things that it would want, more or less. So unless there's some flying robot frame production shortage, which is reasonably likely to be. No, these are all working. So we should be fine on that front. So then it's just going to be a matter of when we get back. And okay, why is this? This coal belt goes through like a tiny fraction of red belts, which, and maybe even yeah, that's a yellow belt in there. So if we just speed all those up, then this coal won't be buffered quite as much and we can get a lot more through. And that should be handy. Because it looks like this side of the belt is a lot more heavily producing than the others for whatever reason. Alright, so now that can go through, and hopefully will help the coal situation. Science is going very slowly, but it is going. And the transport platform is making its way back. Hasn't taken any damage. Seems to just be cruising along nicely. And getting a huge amount of surplus resources, which we're just dumping. So one of my future plans is actually to make like a big like asteroid reprocessing thing, which this lets you swap what types of asteroids you get, but there is some research somewhere that lets you get like copper out of your asteroids. And I don't know what you need to get that. Advanced asteroid processing. That is agricultural science. Got it. So we would need to go to a different planet for that. Alright, that's fine though. We will deal with that in the future. And yeah, that's a job for probably once we have the basic stuff on Vulcanus set up. I don't want to put it off for too long, but Vulcanus should provide a good supply of resources in the meantime anyways, assuming we can get it properly set up. And speaking of which, how's this going? You... Right, so we swapped you over to that, which we need to undo. So you need to get set back to casting steel. And then that all goes in so that we can keep, because we're going to need a lot of ammo when we do eventually decide to deal with this. And we only need a couple of those tungsten plate things for the research that we were doing. But we need a lot of steel. So this is going to go back to making ammunition. And we have 38 gun turrets. What does it take to craft a gun turret? Plates, copper plates, and gear wheels. So it wouldn't be terribly difficult to automate copper plate production, which I probably should do. Okay, the transport platform is starting to struggle a little bit, but it's 90% of the way there, so that's not a concern. So this just has to show up. And let's see, does this have modules on it? No, it doesn't. We must have sent them all down. That's fine. So I kind of want to swap more of these over to speed modules. Like this beacon just doesn't have any modules at all somehow. I need to... Oh, I see what happened. We did that thing again. So you need speed modules. And I wonder where those modules wound up. Probably at the end of a belt somewhere. They might have gotten spit off the planet by an inserter or something. Oh no, they're up here. Alright, that's fine. Don't really care about them. Alright, so now we're here. And it's all set. So now we're getting our stuff deployed. So we have the defender capsules and half of the poison capsules. And the tank as well. So the cannon shells, did I mess up with the cannon shells? Did I not put them in the right type of box or something? So where was that set up over? Ah, yes, I put them in a requester chest instead of a passive provider chest. That'll do it. So let's flip that over. And a whole bunch of drones are going to immediately go and carry that over to the transport platform. Now, how much damage do these guys do? These do like almost 2,000 damage all on their own. More than 2,000 if you count explosion. And they also have piercing power, whatever that means. So hopefully that will help. So basically the plan is stack a whole bunch, do a whole bunch of different things. So I'm going to be in a tank and providing support from cannon shells. Then I'm also going to be spamming poison capsules on it, which should do damage over time to stop its regeneration. And then we also have a bunch of turrets blasting away at the same time. All of those things together will hopefully defeat the guy. Got some cannon research upgrades. Yeah, I mean a decent chunk. Not incredible, but we're doing another one, so hopefully that'll be fine. And let's see here. Is there any dramatic shortage here that we don't know about that's like causing actual issues? I guess steel is not looking great. I just made steel production more efficient, so it shouldn't have as much problems as it was. Alright, did I module these guys up here? I did. Yeah, the cannon shells should help out if I can get a decent number of them fired. So what else do I want? Energy shields, probably not gonna keep me alive for too long. Maybe like exoskeletons to move around faster, although I'm gonna be in a tank, so it's probably fine. I don't know. We're just gonna try it with all this and see if it's good enough. If it isn't good enough, then we'll figure out another plan, or just try to steal some from them directly instead of trying to actually fight them. Alright, so how's this going? We still only have half of the poison capsules and half of the cannon shells, which, I mean, it's probably decent numbers here, but we need enough that we can just throw them and not worry about it. So one thing I was considering, if this doesn't work, then I might have to like mess around with quality upgrades, because higher quality ammunition and stuff does a considerable amount more damage. So if we're like close but don't quite make it, then that's what we're gonna try. Okay, so now the biters sort of moved over to the east a bit in their attack directions. So, first of all, we need to get this guy in here and just get some additional coverage like that, and then some of them got right up to these turrets. Let's make that wall twice as long, and then get an additional laser turret or two in here. Yeah, the biters are real close up there, and I'm not physically present on the planet, so I can't really do anything about that at the moment. It would be kind of annoying to like work out a whole complicated thing to get me back only to just fight a couple of biter nests and then return right back to Vulcanus. So those guys are going to stay there for a while. I guess technically I could try to push up there with only drones, but that seems unwise. Alright, anyways, back to our weapons stuff. How's this going? We're up to 98 of these, which is the number that we want. The cannon shells, meanwhile, are pretty far behind. They're theoretically producing at the same rate, but I started them a lot later. Yeah, so there goes... Okay, actually, we might have just finished those as well. And there goes a whole bunch of drones to fill this guy up. And so now he is going to launch. And yeah, at that point, I think we're just about good for this trip. Probably. The thing is that we're at the point where like travel between the two is relatively safe. So I'm not super worried about that sort of problem happening. Especially now that this is functioning and we have way more of that. Let's actually... Do we have just beacons and stuff here already? We have 48 speed modules. I don't see any beacons. We probably have plenty of beacons to just launch a rocket up. Yeah, let's make this stuff a beacon setup so that it is faster. And we just have to pop these in like that. And then assign them speed modules. So that should accelerate the smelting process, which should then give us enough iron plates. Okay, currently we have 150 cannon shells for some reason. We have beacons on the way. So yeah, once this slight upgrade is set in, there should really be no risk in just going back and forth. I mean, there wasn't really much risk already, but once this is in, it should be totally fine. Because we were technically running a bit low on ammunition near the end of it, and that's no longer going to be an issue. Alright, so that is all built up. And now we can use all of the iron we can possibly get. And do I want to just speed module you as well? Just to make absolutely sure that like this entire production chain along the entire thing is fast. Alright, so we have 150 cannon shells, we have a tank, we have some capsules, so let's just send this off. Probably not gonna explode from the extra 50. Alright, so we need this to be... Alright, so let's just set both of these to something that is never going to happen, and then this will just let us hit the play button in order to swap between the two, as opposed to having to like do a couple more button clicks. So you get to do that greater than 0. Alright, so these are always going to be false. And so he's just going to go back and forth. Well, he's just going to stay in place until we just hit play on the other one. And then he will go back there, and that will be easy. Alright. So that's going. Anything else to do on Novice? No. Anything else to do here? No, we are building up our supply of ammunition. And the fact that we only... Okay, I'm starting to think maybe only having like 38 gun turrets might be an issue. So let's see if we can get some of those crafting. So we need our... Actually, let's shift that over one. So we need our copper plates. We need iron plates and iron gear wheels, which are a bit tough to come by at the moment because this is our only source of iron. So you can get speed moduled so that you produce more. And I think you actually just need a bulk output. And then we need a place to make gear wheels. We could cast these individually, but that requires a foundry, and I am a bit low on foundries at the moment. So then this outputs to a belt, which we need to go like underneath this. So you go along like that and into there. Then you actually, we can just send you onto that same belt and it'll use the two different sides of it. And then we can have those output to a box, which we're only going to need a couple stacks of. Alright, so this can theoretically use a lot. Alright, now we're low power. And is that... Yeah, so that's partially, I think, because it's nighttime, but also we just need more solar panels. So let's... I've got a couple more solar panels, and I actually don't think I have any... Yeah, I don't have any more of the accumulators, so that's not great. Alright, so let's just get some of this stuff set up so that at least during day we will have the power to do stuff usefully. And most of what we're doing here doesn't really require all that much power, because I mean the gun turrets are our main objective, and those we just need to run like inserters. Those solar panels can't reach anything. So it would have been nice to know that we were low on accumulators just like a moment ago, so that we could fix that, but alas. Although actually there should be... I feel like there is some way of... Yes. Calcite plus sulfuric acid in a chemical plant gives steam, which I can then use that steam for some turbine stuff. So that's an option for more stable power. Although I'm also a bit low on belts. Okay, something bad is happening back here. What's going on? Alright, some biters, quite a few biters actually, got in here. So let's start placing laser turrets in the just general area, and hopefully those laser turrets can get placed in by the time the biters get to that part of the area. Hopefully they just continue ignoring these substations for long enough for them to continue providing power in here. There are only a couple of them, and they seem to be leaving, so I don't know why they're doing that. Where did they come from? Down there? They must have come from down there somewhere. Alright, here come some drones. Alright, these drones are just rebuilding the solar panels behind them. That's kind of funny. It's not exactly what I want them to be doing. I want them to be bringing in the laser turrets. There come the laser turrets. So that should deal with this guy, and then there's probably other stuff going on elsewhere. Here we go. Okay, they also got down there. So I think we just need, like... We just need, like, a screen of laser turrets around the edges here. Just sort of in various locations. And this doesn't need to be super intense or well thought out. We just need to prevent them from being able to act completely unopposed. Like that. And then we have this wall here, which is doing just fine and what eventually got rid of those guys. And then we're probably going to want these guys to get laser turrets as well. Okay, this area looks like there's a biter nest right there, but there's actually a giant cliff there, so that's probably fine. These guys are more threatening. So let's put some laser turrets along this way. And if these places actually get attacked more, then we will come in and put walls. Like, let's just get a wall along there, just to protect those laser turrets a bit. And this should be secure enough. Yeah, so the problem is they're not even like trying to fight my solar panels so much as they just can't path through them, so they're destroying them to try to get back here, I think, is largely what's happening. Alright, so that's all set up. The transport platform is over here now. And that is good. It means that we can start dropping some of this stuff off. Oh, you have some spare gun turrets as well, so that's fine. You can send down some of those. Was that everything? Yeah, this wasn't a super big list of things that we were sending down. Alright, so we have the gun turrets. We have the ammo. Now we have all the assorted other junk. Where did that tank go? I am missing a tank. Ah, it's up there, near the top of the inventory, for some reason. Alright, more stuff is getting destroyed here. That is this area. Oh yeah, that's a pretty big attack there. Alright, you guys can get a couple extra laser turrets, just sort of within the area. And then let's double wall this. And that should be fine for now. Alright, so back over to here. We have our tank now. I didn't bring any fuel, but there's coal on planet, so that's not going to be a concern. Then we have the capsules and the ammunition. Oh, we actually do have a lot of belts just in the cargo landing pad. That's handy. So let's grab some of those. Okay, so we need to, first of all, set up a turret box that uses turrets, because currently the blueprints that I have only uses laser turrets. So we need just like a row of you. You need to be fed by a row of belts. Is that a cliff? Of course that's a cliff. Alright, the cliffs might pose a problem for this. Actually, that area down there was pretty flat though, right? Yeah, if we try to fight him directly on the resource patch, then it should be okay. Alright, so we just need to get this set up. We're gonna have a decent amount of time. Actually, let's construct this in a more open area. We're gonna have a decent amount of time to set up because the demolisher is very, very slow. But that doesn't mean we want to be extremely slow about it. We want to just have a blueprint placed down and be ready and set up. Alright, so now we get a row of gun turrets, a row of belts, and then another row of gun turrets back here, I guess. So then these guys are all going to be fed from these belts, like this. And we want a lot of guns active all at once. So let's copy paste this, make the rows longer, and then add another batch in there. So all of this gets built up. I should have put the power poles in first. That's fine. So that just gets all those guys covered. What was that? Lots of drones going down over in Novice today. Don't know what all that's about. So this, I believe, covers all of them, but we might be missing like one by the side. No, that does cover all of them. Alright, so then we just need a splitter to go into there. And that is going to be fed from a box, which we placed there. We're all out of fast inserters, but that's fine because I want this to be a bulk inserter anyways. So then we would just shovel all of our piercing ammo in there and then be good to go. Oh, we are actually a couple fast inserters short anyways. Does this have more of them? No, it does not. That's not ideal. Alright, we can use bulk inserters for this. That's fine. It's not necessary, but it's what we gotta do. Alright, so that is a turret box. We have the resources to build all of it. And if we put ammo in here, then it'll get distributed through. So let's just blueprint this as turret box. Create that blueprint, and then we are going to need to tear all this down, and this is 48 gun turrets, and it is going to take a little bit to build off of only my own personal drones, but I mean, this is still plenty of time for a demolisher as long as it's not right next to us when we start. So this all gets torn down. And then what else do we need? We need some fuel for the tank. So let's just head up here and grab some coal. We apparently have a box of it. Just grab a stack or two. So that should be fuel for the tank. And we want to clear those off of our hotbar and put poison capsules in. And then let's also clear... let's see here. What here is the least important? Probably just rail signals off to put defender capsules. Alright. So that is most of what we have. And now it's just a question of the power, because we do need to power the inserters, and that is a way this could go catastrophically wrong. Now, the easiest way of doing that would just be to have all of these guys finished production. So if you go down to there, and you go down to here, we should then backlog on everything, stop using power, and then be fine off of our accumulators. And then you can also get chopped down to a smaller size. Alright, so we're going to have to wait a little bit for that backlog to trickle through, but it shouldn't take too long. Alright, how's the power going? Day-night cycle is super short here. So even like, depending on how long the fight is, it could go like, just because of how short it is, it could go through an entire day-night cycle, which would be a bit unfortunate. Alright, so that's stopped running, that is stopped running. Yeah. The faster the better, but the only thing would be like if we can catch the Demolisher like during the daytime, then the day-night cycle wouldn't be an issue at all. But because it's so short, it is going to be an issue at least a little bit. But now with all of this mostly stopped running, we should be fine. Alright, so we need to clear out inventory space next, because we need to ferry a lot of ammo over. So let's just get like concrete and refined concrete out of the way. I don't need all of that junk or any of this stuff. Let's find another box. I have another one up here somewhere. Just try to limit the total number of boxes. Why do my drones keep getting destroyed? This is happening at a much, much higher rate than it like ever has. Okay. The drones are trying to fly over here to bring laser turrets down there, and then they're getting within range of all this stuff and getting blown up. Yeah, okay, that's no good. We need to do something about that. It looks like one of them got through. Good job, little drone. I believe in you. Alright, so we need to just like, I guess we just like bring laser turrets down to here, then maybe this will draw some of the biters over and help prevent this. This is not necessarily a good idea, but it probably won't be catastrophically bad anyways. I mean, worst case, we lose a couple drone ports. That's fine. Alright, anyways. Anything left on the platform which could be useful? They have fast inserters. I do want to leave some of those up here, though. Okay, so back down to here. Power consumption is basically stopped, which is good. I'm going to have to see what happens with that laser expansion that we set up. So we probably need to clear out a bit more inventory space. So let's get the space platform foundations gone, cargo bays and thrusters and stuff. Random pistol is unnecessary. Oh, I had rocket fuel, so I don't even need this coal. That'll be better. I don't need one of all these various things. Alright, this is 3 and a bit stacks. So I have 4 full rows of inventory here. That should be, I mean, how likely is it that we fire all these piercing rounds, like realistically? Probably very unlikely. And then let's cut that down to just a couple of stacks. So that if things go completely wrong, we have at least a couple. And that is going to turn the factory on for a bit, but probably only portions of it. So this is doing fine. And then our production is crashing because it's nighttime. Alright. Yeah, so this is not going well. Because we haven't gotten the most important power line in, as expected. Also, this entire thing appears to be just very badly placed directly within range of a giant worm, but not actually close enough to do anything to said giant worm. So we're going to have to try to push that further and just, like, eliminate this base entirely. If this works, it'll be a miracle. Oh, this whole thing isn't even powered anyways, so we need to get one up there as well. Alright, so yeah, this is not going super smoothly, I would say. But if we can get these guys in and powered up, then that will be dealt with. I really wish that the drones just wouldn't fly over random biter nests in the first place. Alright, so that accumulator there was hardly anything. Alright, so we have everything in our inventory, right? Right. So we just need to head down and set up for a fight. Okay, we need to bring our power line back down, which hopefully won't result in the Demolisher destroying our base. It didn't last time. Last time it stopped shy of destroying the entire base. Okay, so now we have this. And where even is the line? The line is like just barely past those guys. And the Demolisher himself doesn't seem to be in the immediate vicinity. So let's just run all the way down here. As long as we're not building anything, we can do this safely. Just want to know where he is. Just want to know where he is. Alright, he must be off over this way somewhere. His territory is pretty big, so that's unsurprising. Alright, so we are going to go back here. And we are just going to set up on top of this tungsten because it is completely flat. Alright, so step one, the turret box. We're going to actually have it like this, I think. Alright, some crazy things are happening back on Novice. So that's not ideal. But I'm sure that that'll be fine. so we need you to just go across that little lava lake and then up here so that it's all connected up so that the inserters are powered. And then we need to get all the rest of this stuff built as soon as possible. You're powered, right? Yes, you are. Alright. Hopefully they can do this quick enough. And then while they're doing that, I need to plop down my tank, give it some rocket fuel, give it a stack of cannon shells, and hop in. Okay, then we throw all the ammunition in there. Yep. So that is now going. And hopefully this one bulk inserter can manage everything. Gosh, what is happening back here? Okay, we are shooting lasers, so this is actually working. Kind of. It's not ideal, but we are getting laser shots off sometimes. Alright, now back to this. Eventually, that biter's nest will be destroyed. It's a bit questionable, to be sure, but it should work eventually. Okay, so I have defender capsules. Lasts for 45 seconds. And we just want like a couple of them. I don't even know how many of these I need. I wish I had more... pre-warning about when the guy was showing up. Oh wait, no, there he is. There he is. He's coming from this way. So let's get a couple of these guys set up so that they can help out. And then swap to poison capsules. And then I need to be like not directly in front of that. I want to just be like off to the side maybe. Alright, so I have 7 of those. Oh, apparently I can get like 30 of them. So let's throw out as many of these guys as I can. So that's all filled up. And those guys should help. And then the range on these guys is so bad. It's so short. Like he has to get insanely close. Oh wait. Alright, that was not so bad at all. So that, I mean, basically everything worked out there. It's kind of hard to tell what exactly happened, because it all happened quickly, but it looks like the tank shells helped a little bit, the poison probably helped a little bit, and then just firing an insane amount of guns in a very short amount of time did the rest. So that's all cleared up. And now we can just, I guess if we need to repeat that in the future, then we can. And now we just have to take all this stuff down and use our nice new tungsten patch that we have. Alright, so this is all getting dismantled, and the Demolisher remains are just off the patch. They technically have tungsten in them. Alright, let's go back to Novice and see what's going on over here. So we've lost a couple of important power poles, basically. Yeah, this is not working very well. Let's get a couple backup rows of power poles so that the odds of the power poles being functional are higher. And likewise with the laser turrets. The more of these are in here, the more drones will be coming over to place them. And it looks like we might also need a backup drone port because that is getting pretty damaged. So it would be nice if a whole bunch of drones came to place these in all at once. It would also be nice if the power poles showed up, although that's probably just going to take forever because they're pretty far away. Alright, we lost our drone port in the area. We are coming in to bring a second one, but there's a biter just standing there menacingly. That's awful. Okay, I think this is just not working at all. Let's just give up here. Just dismantle everything in the vicinity, and this will be a problem to deal with once we're back in person, or we have better automatic set systems. We got like, what, 80 some damage on one big worm, and that's basically it. Alright, so back to over here. What happened to all my drones? Why did all of my drones die? I'm not sure what happened. Were they like unable to reach me in the tank or something? I just don't have drones now. That's unfortunate. Don't know what's up with that. Time limited? Yeah, but I was standing right here. Yeah, the normal drones. I expected the defender drones to go away. It's the construction drones, which, like, I don't know why they all just died. And they died after. They died after the Demolisher was gone, because we got like half of this taken down. Maybe they just like can't reach me when I'm sitting in the tank. I guess that could be it. Tried to repair in the smoke. That might be it. If the drones can get destroyed by poison, then that is definitely... There was a lot of poison gas in the area. So that could definitely be responsible. I didn't think drones would be vulnerable to poison, considering they're not alive. But who knows? Okay, well, let's just take all this apart manually then. And pick up our tank. And... oh, the smoke electrifies targets? I did not know that. I thought it was just poison. Huh. Anyways, it's not really a big deal. We're just going to have to send the transport platform back for some of those. So add section. You need to bring some drones. Where even are the drones in this? Some logistics drones and some construction drones. And what else did we need? I think we were a bit short on fast inserters, so let's grab a couple stacks of those. And we probably have enough belts, but more are always good to have. And that should be fine for now, so you can head back. If I remember anything else, I will add it on. In the meantime, we can place down a big mining drill here. Right there. Don't know much about the poison, barely use it. Yeah, I saw that apparently, like, because it does the damage over time effect, it's pretty good at countering their regeneration of the Demolishers, so that's why I built one, but I don't know if it's necessary. It probably would have been just fine without it, seeing how fast it went down. Like, it did not have that much time to regenerate much at all. Oh, right, I don't have drones. That's annoying. Not having any drones is like the worst thing ever. Now I have to get rid of all these demolisher remains manually, and then build all the belts manually. So this all goes away. It will give me a nice amount of tungsten ore, actually. Although that's not so much of a concern now that we have a proper mining setup. Alright, so this goes, and we just sort of have to bring this up to somewhere useful. That's backwards. No? Oh, can you not underground across lava? I guess that makes sense. Yeah, okay. So we just have to go around then, and up through there. And we just continue bringing this belt up. And we just need this guy to get over to the sulfuric acid. And yeah, we're going to need more belts as well. Continuing to lose more drones, probably in that same area because they're still just trying to fly over. But hopefully that's just fine. Alright, I think I saw we had some belts in here. Another couple hundred at least. Should be enough. Alright, so we run down here. And why is this missing some belts? There definitely should be more belts there, right? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that that belt was supposed to connect all the way up to the main area. Alright, so now that just goes into there. And then as long as this box is full of carbon, we have tungsten carbide. And then I do want to branch this off a little bit because we need tungsten plates as well. And so in order to get the carbon, we can make it from coal and sulfuric acid, or we can just drop it off from the space platform every so often. And that seems a lot easier. Are they still... Why are you picking up random rocks over this area? Stop. That is such an insane waste of drones. Why are you like this? How do I, like, undesignate a rock from being drone portable? I guess they've mostly gotten it at this point. I think we just have to let them do this until they give up. All right, I do have drone construction functioning, right? That hasn't broken or anything. Yeah, we have thousands to spare. It's fine. Transport platform is most of the way over. And then we just need this to come up. Yeah. I guess maybe a demolisher got to this area or something. I don't remember them doing that. It doesn't seem right. This was definitely connected up. Alright, so anyways, let's just run that belt over. And yeah, now we are short on belts. So we're just going to have to wait for that to get fixed. And so we have our tungsten carbide there. We can use this, possibly, if we have the other supplies, to make another foundry. Okay, no, we need just feed this in there. And then where is our steel? Okay, our steel belt is up there now, which we need to run down to here in order to get into that. So let's just do it manually for a little bit, just so that it can get started. And I'm pretty sure, actually, I probably have a couple stacks in there that I can throw in. Alright, now we have a semi-decent supply of foundries. And this should be showing up with more stuff every so often. Our next step is going to be getting more big mining drills, because just one is obviously not enough. Alright, transport platform is back over here. And it is filling up. Let's see here. So the logistics robots are in. Construction robots should be showing up shortly. Express transport belts. Is there some shortage of express transport belts? Okay, well these need to be Mark III assemblers. And they should theoretically have enough. But let's make those bulk inserters as well, just to be sure, because it seems like that can get this going faster. Yeah, apparently we didn't have enough of this. Let's make our stockpiles larger, because with the space platform stuff, it's a bit more effort to get stockpiles balanced correctly. Alright, so hopefully that can get set up properly. Apparently the absolute massacre over here has ended, and that is now all good. Although they might move up to mess with this drone port here, which would be a bit of a shame. Alright. Well, this is super far from their nest. So, surely this will be fine, right? I mean, there's only 1 or 2 biters even within range of this to begin with. And I've placed a bunch of them simultaneously, so all these laser turrets should get placed in pretty quickly of each other. Okay. Let's see, back to here. Actually, no, we need to check this. It's still sending up belts, but it's got most of them, and it's about to get the rest. Okay. Is that this? Yes. And it seems like we did manage to mostly zap these biters. Now they're just standing there doing nothing a millimeter away from my roboport, which is an interesting decision. So now we just have to wait for the rest of the lasers to show up, I guess. What are these guys doing? Are these guys... What, they just delivered something or other? I can't tell what. Alright, so those guys are doing whatever it is biters do in their free time, just sitting completely motionless with 18 health remaining, and then getting zapped by some lasers. Okay, now the rest of these lasers go in, and this should be relatively secure now. Now that the lasers are in, that was the top priority. Let's also get some walls to defend said lasers, so that we can just have that roboport be nice and secure. Alright, back up to here. This is all loaded up, and we can send it back. and hopefully there wasn't some other thing that I badly need. So big mining drills are just mostly combinations of things that we already have, at least in some numbers. So let's get a foundry down to make a big mining drill. And what do you need? So you need red circuits, you need electric engine units, you need electric mining drills. Let's take some of those back. And you need tungsten carbide and molten iron. Alright, so this pipe goes up to there. You get rotated around, powered up, and then we just have to grab some tungsten carbide. So grab some of that, throw it in, and let's get a couple more big mining drills. And that can then output into a box, which I just used a passive provider chest, which I guess is fine. Yep, just get a couple more big mining drills so that our tungsten carbide supply can be less awful than just the singular one. And now we just run over this way. And how's the coal doing? The carbon is doing fine, which means we need more tungsten going in. Eventually we're just going to have to set up an actual carbon source, but for now just occasionally getting some from the space platform can just send it down, which is nice and easy. Alright, so let's get a couple of you guys in. And I just realized I don't have any belts. Can I craft belts? No, I cannot. Right, well that is a somewhat important thing to be missing. So these guys are going to have to wait on me getting more belts. And I really need to set up like enough power to do a drone network here so that I can actually get items around instead of having to constantly ferry everything manually. Alright, so we run up this way. Right, that's where the cliff is. Physical projectile damage is gonna show up right on time in another 8 minutes. And I needed to be able to craft belts, which is just like iron and copper for yellow transport belts, which are genuinely all I need at the moment. The transport platform is only halfway there. So let's craft up a couple of yellow transport belts, and then we can use those to connect those extra mining drills up. So we just run down here. And gosh, this once we get a drone network, it is going to be so incredible. Just being able to not run back and forth all the time. You really forget how great it is to have all the infrastructure set up until you're here and you don't have it, and it's just painful. Alright. Transport belts. You just run up like that. And it's not exactly a fast belt, but it doesn't exactly need to be a fast belt to deal with all these guys. So that should be more tungsten ore. And then we can run back and have that all sorted out. So up we go. And let's see here. So this is our sulfur mine. And it's doing fine. We are starting to run a bit low on carbon. So we are going to need to get some more carbon down there at some point. Speaking of which, transport platform is here. And you are sending down logistics bots, construction bots, carbon, and belts, and some fast inserters. I should have left a stack of those in case I need to do some building up here, but it should be fine. We have other types of inserters that we can use for that. Okay, wait. I just remembered another thing that I need here. So you need... I need power. So I need, like, several hundred accumulators and solar panels. So now you can just go back immediately. And that should be good enough for now. Alright, so we can grab this carbon, grab the belts, the rest of this stuff. Oh, the bots. Okay, the logistics bots showed up again. Construction bots didn't, though, so now we have those. And now we can run down to here and get this belt going. And just come up this way. You can... No, don't do that. You can then run just alongside the tungsten carbide belt. And we need to make some tungsten plates. And that will be very nice to have. Alright, so let's get a foundry in. And we need to make tungsten plates, which is tungsten ore and molten iron. So tungsten ore goes there, gets powered on, and our molten iron pipe, we just sort of need to get it out of this whole area and down to there. And then, if I'm correct, metallurgic science is tungsten carbide, tungsten plate, molten copper in a foundry. So, if we can get another foundry, which is just missing the tungsten carbide. So we get you, and then you go down here somewhere. Okay, so you then output your tungsten plates onto a belt, which we can send over to here and go into there. Then our tungsten carbide also goes on a belt, which goes over to here and in. Then you get set up like that, and we just have to drag one last pipe over this way. And there's a cliff in the way, so let's just get you underground. And there. That is metallurgic science. And it is, I believe, fully automated metallurgic science. So this is good. This is good. Do still always just need more of this, though. More foundries. And so this area is still not, like, properly automated, except for the metallurgic science and the things that go into it. That's the important part. Alright, my transport platform is having ammo shortages, and it's only like 2/3 of the way there. Has it taken any damage? No. But the problem is that the iron ore smelting doesn't seem to be fast enough. Yeah, so we're using up all the iron ore as it gets on the belt. So even this... Oh, it's low power. That's the problem. So if we check power grid, it's not having a good time. So we need more solar panels. And we should be able to build a couple just like right now without any problems. So we don't have a huge number of spare solar panels just lying around on here, but we do have some. So we can do that. And then that's all of the foundation we have apparently, but hopefully the power will be doing better now. Nope, I mean, it's probably doing marginally better, but not much. So yeah, I think the problem is... Okay, we did take damage. We did take a bit of damage up here, which cut our ammo belts. That's a pretty dangerous way of taking damage. Alright, anyways, what's next? So we have physical projectile damage unlocked. We could start using metallurgic science for something, but I don't really have that much of it. And we also haven't gotten it back to the rest of the science types yet anyways. So let's just go worker robot speed and then work on getting the metallurgic science over. So we've used up all of our tungsten carbide. Right, so I had grabbed a whole bunch of carbon and now I have to bring it over here. What I need to do is I need to just bring a coal belt down to here to get that going manually, or to get that going automatically. I forgot that this part wasn't fully automated. Alright, so carbon is coal and sulfuric acid. We have sulfuric acid down here. We have coal up here. So let's run on up. And let's see here. I want a couple more. Technically, big mining drills are more efficient in terms of how they use the resources, but I have plenty of small mining drills and not plenty of big mining drills, so we're going to use these for the time being. Okay, then we just have to take this out, and why did it turn it that way? Please turn it the way that I actually want it to go. Thank you. Alright, so this belt runs all the way down here to the sulfuric acid. Alright, so now we're in this general area. What's going on with this? Losing laser turrets along this wall. Okay, well, you know what that means. Time to get some of these guys in. That ought to just about do it. And then we double up the proper wall itself. Oh, apparently this whole area isn't drone covered. It's like just barely out. Yeah, that's no good. We can't have that. So we get a drone port there. Connect it up with power lines. And we should be good. Alright, so back over to here. We need another pump jack to get more sulfuric acid. This one might be enough, but it's sort of in an awkward place to get it out. Alright, so pump jack just goes over there. And we get power poles. So that is sulfuric acid. And this is coal. Actually, our transport platform is back. And it's got the power stuff. Then I'm going to need probably more belts. And I'm going to need more pipes. And what else was there? Do I have pump jacks automated? I don't even know if I do. Let's see here. Another stack of medium electrical poles wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. What else? I know there was something else that I was missing. Mining drills are fine. All that stuff is probably fine. Probably fine just like this. So that... Oh, I know what I needed. I needed all the stuff to get off of Vulcanus. So I need to be able to get a whole bunch of blue circuits. A whole bunch of... I'm just going off of memory of what this needs here. And we need a whole bunch of low density structures. And what else was it? We need to craft a rocket silo and a rocket to go in it. So we need concrete, electrical engine units, pipes, and rocket fuel. And also possibly a lot more of all the stuff that I added on that list. So we need concrete. We need electrical engine units. And we need... Not making those things on Vulcanus itself. I could, but like... sort of why would I when I can just import them and have it be a lot quicker? Because I have the science production set up now. If I wait until I have the ability to send it back from Vulcanus like independently, then that's just sort of wasting time, I guess. Right, is this enough of everything? Is this enough of everything to make this? I need 1,000 steel plates and 1,000 concrete. Okay. 1,000 steel plates, 1,000 concrete. Actually, I have the steel plates. That is something which I actively just already have produced, so I can take that off. That doesn't take any additional time. The concrete is good to have. And I don't know how much rocket fuel this actually needs. We might have to make a return trip for this. Alright. Yeah, we might have to make a return trip. Was there anything else that I was forgetting? No, that should be fine. How many rocket launches would it take to bring all that? Quite a few. It's not going to be a quick process, but it'll probably be faster than working that stuff out here. I don't know. We'll see. We are going to want to have this set up eventually. I don't want to wait for too long on getting our science delivered. Okay, so what was I doing? Oh, right. I was in the middle of getting carbon automated. So we have our belt here, which comes over this way. And then we have a chemical plant, I believe. Chemical plant, which is going to make carbon from coal and sulfuric acid. So that's the sulfuric acid. And here is the coal. I placed that wrong. So you go like that. And get powered up. then you can output your carbon just to here, where you can just get stockpiled in this box, I guess. Not that it matters. And how much is that? That's 1 per second. This is 1.25 per second. So we speed module you, and that should be fine. Alright, so that is all set up. And now we just need to see what else is going on up here. So, let's see. Blue circuit automation. What does this take? We need iron plates, copper cables, plastic bars, copper cables, electronic circuits. And we can't like directly cast any of this stuff, right? So we can cast concrete from molten iron using stone. Okay, this actually might not be as bad as I thought. We're going to work on the processing units first, I think, because those are always handy. So we need plastic. So first, iron plates, copper cables. Let's get some more foundries. We're going to need quite a few. And let's actually reorganize this so that the tungsten carbide for crafting gets split off, and the tungsten carbide for science is its own separate thing. So we can actually just run this along and into the machine itself. Of course, there's a cliff there. Why wouldn't there be? So that copper belt can go underground to be out of the way. And then this belt goes up and into there, which we can then output you. And we only need a tiny amount. Alright, now we're short on green circuits to make more foundries, which is fine because green circuits are like the next step of things we're producing. So, we need iron plates and copper cables. We have iron plates up here, 8.25 per second. Is not incredible. Do I even want to... I think I might just want to tear all of this down and rebuild it, because this is kind of a giant mess. Yeah. Let's restart this. So you all go in there. And let's see here. Where else can we just get rid of some extra junk? Tungsten ore is no longer the bottleneck, so I can get rid of it. Alright, so let's just get a box up here somewhere. Tungsten ore can go away. All this stuff can go away. Okay. So let's start tearing things apart. And wait, no, actually that one I was fine with. But whatever, it's fine. We're gonna tear everything apart and restart completely from scratch. Now that we have enough foundries to actually do useful stuff. Alright, so the foundries have all been removed. These boxes with ammunition in them are just gonna sit there, I guess. Oh, no, I accidentally undid that. Alright, you can just go in there, that's fine. This is no longer actively being used for anything. Gears go out of the way, all these random belts go out of the way. Alright, so this... Right, the lubricant is another thing which we're going to need to make on site now from... I think you can do that with calcite somehow. Though I don't know the exact details of that. Alright, so this is more or less torn down. And let's start with the foundries for the lava, because that's obviously step one. So we have our lava pipes there and there, and I want these to be just like nice long rows where we can have multiple consecutive foundries. So that pipe needs to get out of the way. And we get a foundry there. And how do these not quite fit? All right, we got worker robot speed. That's nice. What do we want next? I guess just more worker robot speed. Get those guys moving quick. All right. So how do we get this done in a nice scalable way? So you are going to be molten iron from lava. So you have the lava, you have the molten iron coming out up there, and then we need the stone output as well. So what if we just do something like that, and then the molten iron just goes under that belt and then across. Oh wait, I always forget that you need calcite in this. Alright, so what if we then take you out, have the calcite go across like that, and then the calcite goes in, and the molten iron then connects up like this to a pipe that runs along like that. And then that has to squeeze over there somehow, which apparently we can't do with that placement of it, so let's just move it to there. And that is the lava going into the molten iron. And then once it's done with that whole loop, then it gets output to there. And I guess that is where it has to go. There we go. And then get the input. Alright, so that should theoretically be a lot more scalable, assuming we have the calcite belt coming in here, which let's actually just do that. So yeah, we can get like 2 of these, for example, and that's fine, just like that and like that. And then the outputs are there and up there. Okay, I don't know that I actually like this, because it's just like, if we want to scale it to the left, the calcite belt has to go in from there. So what if instead we have the calcite belt coming up from this way? Then, however far to the left we scale this, the calcite belt just goes along with it. That seems much nicer. So this goes over here and down. And that all gets powered up. And now we just have to get this belt turned around like that. So there we have that. And then we can even just get that splitting off with output priority left so that we only output excess stone. So if we can now actually just use stone if we get it. And then we have the lava, which we want to make copper next. How much lava is this? This is like 1200 per second. So realistically, for now at least, it's going to be more than enough lava just from one pump. So let's take that guy down. Move these power poles and stuff out of the way. And can we get this placed in a way that it can use the same calcite belt? That's the question now. How do we use the same calcite belt for both? Alright, something crazy is happening on Novice again, as always. Alright, I think if we just split you like that, then we can grab from there and then do that. So you make molten copper from lava. Right, so you have to be turned around first. And that gets connected. Alright, so now both of these can scale off of the same belt and lava pipe. So that is all in. And get you connected up. Now the output belts are going to have to be different stone belts, which is a bit annoying, but not the end of the world. So you just go all the way over there, and then you do that. And then we have our output pipes like this, just go across. How's this guy going? You have most of what we need by this point. So that should be fine. We're just waiting on the low density structures and electric engine units, which we might actually have to tweak the electric engine units, which we have to do from here. So I think we don't have enough in storage to do 200 at once. Let's do minimum payload of 100, see how that goes. Alright, so now we have that. Those two get their stone output. Alright, now we have our two different molten pipes, and we want to move these out of the way. This is bringing more pipes, right? Yes, it's bringing several hundred. So we want these to move out of the way so that we can use them. And the fact that there is a giant lava ocean right here is actually super inconvenient. I might have wanted to not build this in this exact spot, because it's if I just built this over here with a longer lava pipe, it would be a lot easier to like wrap around the sides and stuff, but as it is, we can't really do that. Alright, so what I need to do is... So I don't know what happened there. It doesn't say I've dropped any frames or anything, but YouTube just lost connection briefly. I don't know. I'm sure it's nothing important. Alright, so now we have our molten iron and molten copper down here out of the way, and if we can fit in like another couple foundries here, and then if we want more we can just push them out on the other side of these pipes and it should still be okay. Okay, how is our transport platform doing? Okay, you are taking forever on a lot of this stuff. Let's just send you over now and then you can make another trip later. I need the pipes and belts right now more than I need to have the entire thing set up fully. Alright, so this is that. Then our next step is going to be... Do we cast these things directly, or do we go to steel and then furnace them again? I think casting them directly is better. So that's 30 molten iron to 1 steel plate. That's 20 molten iron to 2 iron plates. And then steel plates is like 5 to 1. So yeah, this is... Casting steel is just way more efficient, it seems. So let's get those set up. And we just need... We kind of just want these to be out of the way somewhere. All these cliffs everywhere. The fact that I just decided to build in absolute cliff central was not ideal. Alright, so we get a foundry. Yeah, let's just like bring this down into this area where we have a bit more space. So I think we're going to do sort of a main bus adjacent design where we have like the main molten iron pipe and copper pipe going down this way and then branching off to the sides for everything. So this is going to be the iron casting, and we actually don't have that many foundries right now. So I might need to set up more temporary foundry crafting. Hopefully not. What does this take? Electronic circuits, refined concrete, and lubricant. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff, which I don't really have automated right now. So this is our foundry for making iron, and that is just very simply like that, and then it has to connect along to the main iron pipe like that, and then the main copper pipe has to get around here as well. And now we're out of most of our building materials, so we have to stop and wait a little bit more. Alright, in the meantime, can we semi-manual craft more foundries? Because I'm always going to need those. So we get you in. You need steel. You need green circuits. I'm pretty sure I left refined concrete around here somewhere. Yes, we can grab some of that. Throw it in. And then the lubricant is the last step. So you are a empty lubricant barrel. And you get a whole bunch of that. And I need some spare pipes. So let's just borrow those off of this pipe, which isn't doing anything at the moment. And there we go. So this should keep making foundries. And we need to get the lubricant. How much does this even use? Not all that much. Uses a fair amount of steel, though. Uses a fair amount of steel. Alright, but that gives us like another 5 foundries, which is a pretty solid number. And the transport platform is almost here. So that's cool. So we're just going to wait a little bit more for that guy to show up and see what he has to supply us with. Alright, now you're here. We get a whole bunch of power and a whole bunch of steel and a couple more lubricant barrels in case we need those. Some green circuits are actually going to be useful in the short term. And then we have the belts and the pipes. Okay, what else? Does this even have the storage space right now? It currently does. Although that storage space is going to rapidly deplete as all this stuff gets delivered. So let's have you just like output to a chest. Just to mitigate that problem a little bit. And then we are going to grab a bunch of that stuff. Alright, so that is our iron foundries, and they can expand out that way. Then we have another line here of steel foundries, which also only require molten iron. And alright, we actually need the outputs on these, so that can just go up here. So we get an inserter and a belt, and you get an inserter and a belt. Then we have to reconnect them up to power and get the inserters powered. Alright, so that is iron and steel. And actually, do we just have this go this way? So if we have these go this way, it'll help make expansion easier, but we're gonna have to do more belt adjacent things over here, which isn't ideal because of the giant lava lake, but we'll just have to deal with that. Okay, then we have another one down here, and you are going to be doing copper casting, which requires this pipe to come down and across. Alright, so that goes in like that, and we have copper. Alright, so then our next step is... Actually, can we cast directly to copper cable? I think we can, right? It's one of the options in here. Yes. So let's do that. Get you attached up to everything. And then have an output. Alright, so then we have copper cable and we have iron plates. So now we need to reach down somewhere here where we have our assembly machines, which are going to go in like this and make us some green circuits. So these all go in like that. And then another line with long-handled inserters like that. Then we get the power poles, connect it all up, and we get the output, which I don't know if I can keep having these outputs go back over this way to the right. I think we're just going to run out of space over there eventually, and pretty soon, with the lava being right there. Alright, so you then need to go across to there and across to there. And then these guys go in. And you go across all that stuff, then down over this way. And in. Alright, so why did you not place that? Alright, so that is set up. Now we have green circuit production. What does that get us? So that's one of the steps in making foundries, is green circuits. And it's also one of the steps in making a rocket launcher to get us off of this place. Alright, so we need to work on just crafting the rocket silo, I think. So that's going to be our next step. So we have you, and then you make a rocket silo, and we need to just feed this a bunch of stuff from up here. So what does it need? Nothing in this section. Okay, where'd all of our blue circuits go? Oh, did I just not send them down yet? I bet I just didn't send them down. Blue circuits, concrete, low density structures, rocket fuel. Send all that stuff down and we can use it to start making the rocket silo. And we can also use this steel belt as well. So that should be pretty easy. So let's just have that go in like that. And this probably just won't need to expand that far over in the short term. Alright, so rocket silo is getting its steel. Now we need to grab some of these blue circuits, which keep winding up in my trash slots. Stop doing that. I need those. Alright, so that is enough blue circuits. Then we need the electric engine units, which I could have sworn I had at least a decent chunk of them, but I don't see them anywhere. What does it take to craft those here? Electronic circuits, engine units, lubricant, and that takes just a bunch of stuff that we can smelt off of iron. But we aren't going to need more than a single batch of those. Alright, let's go up to the transport platform, have this drop the rest of its concrete. And there are some electric engine units, only 50 though. Alright, worker robot speed has finished. So what's next? What is next? Personal battery, military 4? Let's do military 4. That can eventually get us towards artillery, which will be incredibly handy to have. Alright, is there anything else useful up here? No, I don't think so. So you can go... Yeah, you can go back. And then you don't need more of those. Don't think you need more of those. We might need more concrete. I don't know, I didn't count. Get rid of that. And then the rest of this stuff, we still want it to send up if possible, because that's all stuff that we need. The smart splitters, or the inserter supply, I believe we've got 19 of those and another several hundred in there. Yeah, so that's not an issue. Okay. So, that is all going. We need to just make blue circuit supply so we can launch rockets. So, we have the electronic circuits. Next step is advanced circuits. So that's plastic bars, copper cables, and electronic circuits. So plastic bar is coal and petroleum gas. And how do we get any of that stuff? So we don't have crude oil on here, so we have to do coal liquefaction. So coal, calcite, and sulfuric acid to make heavy oil, and then we go from there. So that is going to require us to run a giant pipe up this way. And this is going to have to meet up with our calcite supply, which is all the way up here. So let's get the calcite supply, and you just have to come over this way somewhere, and then down, over this way. It's kind of a miracle that the underground belts are long enough to be able to do that. Alright, so then we have sulfuric acid, we have calcite probably, and then we just need to get the coal over there. I need to just get metallurgic science so that I can do cliff explosives and not have to deal with all this nonsense. So the coal comes over this way, and then we need... Do I have the ability to craft an oil refinery? Not at the present moment. Okay, well let's add that onto the list of things that you are going to ask for. Can you grab a couple of oil refineries and some chemical plants while you're at it? I don't think I'm super low on those, but it can't hurt. Alright, so that is all good. What else is there? Was there anything else in here that I noted that I needed that I don't currently have access to? Anything in here? I mean, I guess I could bring like some trains over or something, but it's probably fine as is. Yeah, okay. It should be fine with just that. And then, do I even have automation of those things? Do a quick scan for all that. I don't see it anywhere, so let's just set it up then. So we need to place down one of you, get oil refinery, and a requester chest. So you need steel plates, gears, green circuits, pipes, stone. Alright, steel plates, iron gear wheels, green circuits, pipe, stone. Green circuits, pipes and stone bricks. And then those will then output to a passive provider chest, which is going to store like a couple stacks, I guess. And I just heard a rocket launch, which would indicate that the ship has made it into the area. So that's cool. So this is all going away. Transport platform, getting some belts. Yes, we need to set up the oil refineries. Apparently we have chemical plants, which I didn't see anywhere. But we need to craft up some oil refineries, and then all the rest of that stuff needs launching as well. Alright, everything is going well here. I mean, constantly being attacked, but it's fine. Okay, so back over to Vulcanus. What can we do while we wait? So we can just skip the plastic for now and get copper cables and electronic circuits to a row of assembly machines, which we can just put like, if we just like wrap this belt around like this, then that should work out nicely. And then you can then go up like that, I guess. And then you take that. Now we need a splitter, which needs to go underground to there, I guess, and then around to, yeah, this is a bit annoying, but around to like there. So that is red circuits. Once we have our plastic showing up as well, which we actually need to move that so that you go there, and then the power pole is there. And then we just expand this out to a couple machines. And then they get their inserters and their long-handled inserters and their power poles, which go like that as well. Alright, so that is red circuit production once we get plastic in there. And then we need blue circuit production, which is just, wait, actually this, I always forget that you need to actually output them and they don't just magically work. So you, I guess, will output up onto the same belt as those iron plates, which is kind of gross, but whatever. Then you need to come down this way. Actually, wait, no. Better than that, it would be to just output onto the same belt as the plastic, I think. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same problem either way, I think. So we need you to then go to here, output priority with a filter of red circuits. So then that comes down this way. And then the green circuits go down as well. Wait, am I dumb? I'm dumb. I can just directly put the red circuits on the same belt as the green circuits. And that's just a lot easier. Alright, so now we have our belt with red and green circuits. We then just expand that along this same row, basically. Let's leave a little bit of a gap and put a couple of these guys in. And then they can take from this belt and a pipe, which will be put down here. And then the pipe goes in like this. And the outputs come down to here. Like that. And then the belt. And that gives us blue circuits. Cool. So this is all good except for the engine units. Still waiting on those. And that is hopefully fine. Okay, the last chunk is showing up now, I think. So let's just wait for those. It says there's 100 on the way, which should have us all sorted out for those. Okay, in the meantime, did I ever put all of these over here? Low densities on Foundry? Oh yeah, you can do that. Neat. So just iron, copper, and plastic bars. Yeah, that'll be handy. I'm pretty sure I knew at some point that you could do that, and I forgot. Alright, so you get some of that, and some concrete. Grab all of this, bring it all down to here. So now we just need our engine units, which we have 200 of in here, so let's send this back. Okay, so we need plastic in order to get the blue circuits going. And then we also need fuel-related things to get rocket fuel going. And then we should be all set, I think. So we'll be able to craft the rocket silo once the engine units get here. And then once we have our fuel systems with the calcite and the sulfuric acid and everything, we'll be able to get the plastic and the rocket fuel. And then we'll be able to launch rockets from here. And we finished the military science that we were doing. That's neat. What's next? Power Armor Mark II? Let's do Power Armor Mark II. That'll be fun. Alright, so then we need to get a foundry with molten iron, molten copper, and plastic. So the plastic is going to be down here, which means that the foundry also needs to be down there. And we need to bring our molten stuff in this direction. So you have to make your way down this way, as do you. And I sure hope that I can get both of these guys down here well enough. So this pipe goes down there, and that shouldn't be an issue. This is going to have to go underground past all that, then underground again. Is this just barely not going to work? Maybe if I squeeze in to there, you still don't quite fit. Alright, that's annoying. Alright, what if you go up this way? And then this would have to go underground there. And then you come all the way out to there. And then that also just barely doesn't fit. This is like the most diabolical cliff placement ever. Alright, so I guess our last resort is we need to just bring this over, all the way over this way, which we can't even do there because there's lava there. So we need this to come all the way down to here, and then that can go underground. So that this, now we need one further. This just barely works, I think. So you go under that, and then you can come down this way. Alright, these cliffs certainly do not make it easy. So we have those two, and now we can place down a foundry, which is going to do that. And then you get a power line. Alright, now we just need these pipes to go into this, which is going to be easier said than done because of all these stupid cliffs. So, you go like that, you just go directly in like that, and maybe we just accept only having one. We don't need to launch rockets that much, probably. Because this is just going to be really difficult to scale until we have cliff explosives. So even just getting this connected up at all is going to be tricky. So what if you go over this way? And then down there. That buys space for you to go this way. Okay, you can keep zigzagging. And now you should be able to underground pipe up that cliff. There we go. And then you can not do whatever that was. Thank you. And then you can underground pipe up this cliff. No, of course not. Wait, if you go like back here. No, that doesn't quite fit. This is the worst. Alright, we can do that. It's not that bad. Oh, nope. Apparently there's another cliff there, because of course there is. There. Alright, so that is that all attached up. And then once we get the plastic in, which apparently is going to need a long-handled inserter, then we can just do that. And let's just have the plastic be running back this way. That'll make things a lot easier. Alright, the transport platform is here. So we can grab our electric engine units. We can grab our oil refineries and chemical plants. Grab more pipes and more belts. And none of the rest of this stuff is immediately urgently needed. So that is fine. And now we just go over here. And we have to grab all of those electric engine units, pop them into there, and we are crafting a rocket silo. So that's cool. Then we can restock on belts and pipes, and restock on all of those. Let's find a box with some space to take a bunch of random junk that I don't need. inventory is getting seriously full. Don't know what all that calcite is doing in there. Bunch of lubricant barrels. And some random ores that I don't need. Alright. So that is now all set up. So now we can come down here. And we have our oil refineries. So we can get one of these guys in. And let's see here. We need sulfuric acid as our main fluid input. Simple coal liquefaction. So coal goes up there and in, gets powered, and gets connected up. So that is coal, check. Next up is calcite, which I guess we bring like that. Alright, this is gonna wind up being a bit scuffed anyways, unfortunately. But then we plug the sulfuric acid in, and we have our heavy oil residue. No, don't do that. Clear all that out. That one is already cleared. Alright, so we have our heavy oil residue. And what do we need? We need plastic, and we need solid fuel and light oil. So plastic is coal and petroleum gas. Rocket fuel is solid fuel and light oil. Alright, so let's get down some chemical plants. Because step one is always going to be cracking this down to light oil, right? This is 40 heavy oil, which could give us 2 solid fuel per second. Or we could crack it down to 30 light oil and use that to get 3 solid fuel per second. Or we could take that 30 light oil, crack it down to petroleum gas, and get 1 solid fuel per second, apparently. So I guess we're going... Is that right? 30 light oil to 20 petroleum gas. 40 to 30. Yeah, so I think the solid fuel from light oil is just the best way of getting that. But regardless, step one is to do this. And that takes 20, and this makes 10. So, alright, the production numbers on this are not going to be incredible, I think. Wait, we need water. How do we get water again? It's calcite, sulfuric acid to make steam, and then you condense the steam. Alright, so let's get a chemical plant for that. So you get access to the calcite. And then we have to bring the sulfuric acid up to here. So you do acid neutralization. And in you go. So now that makes 2,000 steam. And then steam condensation is nothing fancy at all. Wait, is this even possible to get out? Yes, okay. So you're going to have to go across that cliff and then into a pipe, which obviously this doesn't fit. Why would it fit? That would just be too convenient. So we need to bring this pipe down to somewhere less annoying. Then we put in our chemical plants. And these guys do steam condensation to make water. Alright, then we can take our water and plug it into this, and that makes light oil. And we're going to use probably just a bunch of like speed modules and beacons to make this go at a reasonable rate. So expanding to larger facilities with all these cliffs around is just completely outrageous. So that's 10 output, so this is going to be 7.5 light oil output. So we need some of that for rocket fuel. We need to just speed module you, I think. So that's at least somewhat close to this. And then you can be... I have priority modules. Apparently I don't. Alright, well, then we will just take a light solid fuel from light oil, make some of that, and that can actually go up this way, I think. So somewhere up there, if I can get out of here. Alright, so the solid fuel can go up there and be out of the way for now. Then we need to take some of that solid fuel and convert it into rocket fuel. So that would go something like this. The calcite needs to go underground to be out of the way, and then that goes into there. I need to grab some more supplies. So where did they end up? They ended up in here. Okay, so we grab some of those. And what else do we need? We're actually a bit low on underground belts. We can grab another 30 of those, no problem. And we're looking pretty decent. So then we go around to here, and you are going to be making... Where is... Oh. Is rocket fuel not in a chemical plant? What is rocket fuel in? It's in an assembler, apparently. Hooray. So, instead, we dismantle you. Put an assembler there. Tell you to make rocket fuel. And then we just have to get the light oil up there somehow. Which, let's see here. Of course there's a cliff there. Why would it ever be possible to build? Alright, so then you can go down to like there, and this calcite belt can be mostly underground so that you can then get out to there. And then go around this. Of course, there's another cliff there. This is actually just the worst. So instead, you need to go over this way. And then up to there. And that is rocket fuel being produced. Hooray. Alright, so we have rocket fuel, check. Assuming that this all balances correctly, which might not, who knows. So then, the next thing we need, now that we have rocket fuel, the next thing we need is our plastic, which is coal and petroleum gas. So we need you to crack the light oil down to petroleum gas. And then this just goes in like that. The water pipe just comes across. You get powered on. And then the plastic is done in a chemical plant, which we're just going to directly take from that. And then split the coal out. This sulfuric acid pipe needs to go underground so that we can get this coal belt out. And then this comes down here and in. Alright, so now you are set to make plastic bars, and we can then have you output, and that goes over this way. Alright, so then this just has to connect into the red circuit production like that. And the low density structures. Alright, so that is all set up. Now, you have a constant fluid ingredient shortage. You're making 15 light oil per second. This alone uses 15 light oil per second. So we need another one of these guys, which we should be able to fit in like over here somewhere. So you get that, and get you some coal, get you some calcite, and then okay, there's actually an underground pipe here. Oh no, that's just because of the cliff. So you can go up to there and then around into that. Then that whole thing is powered up, and we can get our heavy oil out here. There we go. And then you can also be fully speed moduled, because we're not going to be short on any of the inputs to these, really. So then that is a decent chunk of heavy oil, which means that we can then afford to speed module this, which takes 37.9 heavy oil residue, which these two should actually produce just about exactly that. Makes 28.4 light oil. 10 of that can go to solid fuel, and 0.83 of that can go to rocket fuel. Okay, this is actually very efficient, so we can speed module you just to get more rocket fuel going. Then down here we've got our water, which is doing fine apparently. And another 15 goes down here. So this is 25 plus something light oil used across all this. Alright, so that I think is actually good then. So, okay, now our plastic is backing up because we are lacking wires. Why? What happened to you? Oh, you went underground there, but then you needed to split there, and okay. That's not good. So if this pipe is underground along there, then we do the split back here, take that one out, you go under, that should do it. Alright, so we have rocket fuel. Check. We have blue circuits probably soon-ish. Oh, I need to connect this up to a sulfuric acid pipe somewhere. Shouldn't be too hard. We just need to sort of take this pipe over this way and just sort of bring it along up here and straight through that rock and in. Alright, so we have blue circuits. We have low density structures. And we have rocket fuel. And I believe, go over here, we have a silo. So we set the silo up. 2 of the 3 things that we need are just down here. So let's place the silo in down here and then get all of this stuff put in. So we have that. What's going on? A bunch of drones are being destroyed. Why is that? Where? Let's say they're happening along this area. Okay, we probably need a couple extra laser turrets in there. And we need to expand this wall out, because they keep just going around it, which is no fair. Alright, so that wall can then extend out to there. We have additional laser turrets. And let's double fortify that whole area. That should be fine. Alright, so then this comes down to here and sends the blue circuits in. And then finally we need our rocket fuel, which it'll be a absolute miracle if we can get this down here. So this has to go down this way, up all these cliffs, across all this wacky terrain, and across all those pipes, and then finally it can go in to there. Alright, so this is now running and making the first couple of rocket parts. And, okay, how's power going? It's not going great. So we have enough solar panels to fill up every day. We do not have enough accumulators to not run out of power every night. So let's grab a couple stacks of accumulators, and then we run up to this northern area, and let's just start spamming in some accumulators. Just sort of put them in all sorts of places. Alright, so some of these need power access like that. And then some of them we just need to get close enough to build. Alright, so those are all in, and that has significantly increased the amount of charge we can store. Is it enough? It's hard to say, because we didn't get up to a full charge that time. But we did last through the night pretty comfortably. So that'll be fine for now. Alright, so now let's come down here. The thing we are short on most is blue circuits. And the reason we are short on that is because we don't have enough green circuits. The reason we don't have enough green circuits is because we don't have enough wire. The reason we don't have enough wire is this guy can't output it fast enough, partially. So you do that. 12 per second off a single machine is a lot of wire. And I can make it go even faster. Let's do that. You get to go full speed ahead. And okay, apparently we just might actually just need 2 bulk inserters to get this full. Okay, now we're hitting low power at all sorts of times. How are we hitting low power even with all of the accumulators we have? Alright, that power grid has failed, and then the solar panels are going back up. Is our actual solar panel production itself currently... Yeah, we need way more solar panels, basically. So let's find... I know there's a big, relatively flat area off to the north, I guess, would be closer. So if we just run up there, we should be able to spam place a bunch of solar panels. And let's actually grab some solar panels before we run up to do that. Let's see, where are they? They're in here. Grab some of you, grab some of you. Alright, so we just have to run up to here and get past all of this junk. Alright, so this... We now have a decently sized area. Can we actually just place... Can we actually just place one of these guys in? It does fit. It does technically fit. So let's pop that in, and then we're not going to have... Like, we're going to be short on all sorts of things, and we can't do drone construction yet, because we don't have that set up here. But we just need to stand here and let all these things get built. And I would not be surprised if we ran out of construction of solar panels and accumulators trying to build this. Okay, yeah, now I've gotten stuck. So let's get out of there. And queue up all these guys to get built. So there we go. The drones are busy doing stuff. And my inventory is getting clogged with all sorts of junk. So there we go. Now we get all these. Alright, it's getting built. Stuff is still happening on Novice. When will it ever stop? Alright, so the power grid is way, way stronger now. And I am just missing a couple things in there, and this section up to the north. So we're out of accumulators now, so that's why those guys aren't getting built. So we We get all that in, and then this is basically set up. So power should be fine now. I mean, we have over a gigajoule of storage and an approximately equivalent amount of production. Alright, so now we can run back down here and see what's going on. So the wires are now all set. Blue circuits are now backed up. And we are short on rocket fuel, which is unsurprising since the machines that make them are relatively slow. Alright, so this is short on solid fuel, which is short on light oil, which is short on water. And the water is short on steam. And the steam is short on sulfuric acid. Alright, that's an easy fix. So we just need to get... Actually, do I even have more pump jacks? I don't have... Okay, I can just run over here, grab some steel off of a belt, and then set up more pump jacks. So let's get some of those crafting, and then get the sulfuric acid supply fixed. Alright, this pipe actually goes directly over the sulfuric acid supply, so let's fix that. And now this all goes in like that. And those two get pumping, and we can just add in another one because I have another pump jack. There we go. And powered up. Alright, so now we should have enough sulfuric acid for everything. Actually, this requires 200 sulfuric acid to run at full speed. Hopefully it doesn't need to run at full speed, because that is a lot. I'm going to make a couple more pump jacks just to be sure, though. And what is this that I unlocked? Piercing shotgun shells and cluster grenades. I don't really care about either of those. Alright, so let's get another one of you in, and another one in there. And then we just connect all the pipes up and get power going. Alright, so that should be enough sulfuric acid at this point. Yeah, the number looks like it is slowly going up. Steam is mostly full, water is mostly full. Alright, so this is still short on solid fuel, but light oil shortage is no longer an issue for this, looks like. Actually, this might be doing fine for solid fuel now. No, it still is getting item ingredient shortage. So let's give you, like, one speed module, just to see how that goes. So this is 1.83. This gives 1.29, so we do actually need more. So this is the correct amount of solid fuel production, but now we don't have enough light oil. So that is not ideal. Okay, what if we do beacon stuff? So we get a beacon in there. We speed module all of that so it's even faster. So now we're getting 41 light oil. but we're now short on heavy oil again. Because that needs like a billion D, and these guys aren't producing a billion. So what if we get even more... We don't really have the space in here for another speed mod, for like a good beacon. We can get one of these two with a beacon, I guess. There you go. Have fun with that. So now that's better. We've unlocked power armor, which is neat. And what else is there that would be nice to have? Make the robots better. We could discover a new planet. All this stuff requires metallurgic science. Okay, let's do mining productivity. That's always useful, and it doesn't require yellow science, which is our limiting factor for a while, so we should have decent stockpiles of everything for that. Okay, now we're short on coal. Yeah, so we need to just run up here, and where does this coal belt even come from? It comes from up here, and we just need to increase coal mining, which we have another 25 electric mining drills. And we could switch to big miners if we wanted to, but they're still kind of expensive. So let's just run a giant old row of machines on this. And then run a big old belt down the center. And get all these guys powered up. Alright, so that is that. How many mining drills do I have left? 6. Fine. Oh, power grid. Oh, this area up here isn't connected to the real power grid. It's just powered by like these 3 solar panels. So let's fix that. There we go. Now that's going, and now all those mining drills probably are spiking up in power. Wait, this is also not connected to the main power grid, right? This is only showing like 80 megajoules of accumulator charge. How is that possible? That we just had 2 separate things this entire time. Alright, let's get all that connected together, and now the coal can flow much better. Alright, so we have a rocket now. We have a rocket, which means we can now leave this planet if we wanted to, although we still have a lot more work to do here setting up like drone stuff before we can really do that. Instead, what we need to do is we need to get metallurgic science going, so that's tungsten carbide, tungsten plates, molten copper. Now, tungsten plates are tungsten ore and molten iron. So let's get some of that going. So we go up here, we have our tungsten ore. And of course they're just randomly little mini cliffs everywhere just for fun. So let's get like 3 of these guys in. And feed them all the tungsten ore. And they can make tungsten plates. Like that. And then we need a pipe to go into them, which we can have that pipe be back like this. And then that just has to go across like all of these. Alright, then that pipe just connects back to, like, this pipe. Wait, no. Not through the random lubricant input. That's not what I want. Alright, so this then goes along to here. And over this way. Across this belt. And up. Alright, so that is tungsten plate production, which we can then get into a belt, which needs to be spaced properly. So we do it like that, and then these are the outputs, and they get powered up. Alright, so we have tungsten plates, which we then put into this belt, I guess. Just reuse that. So those go into there. And then this, which was previously our foundry, and before that, it was our metallurgic science pack foundry. So we get you set up. And then we just have to twist this around in such a way that it can gain access to the molten copper, which is going to require this being slightly different. So that and that. And then we don't need that output there. We want you to output to here. And then this belt goes all the way down and through this extra space. And then we can get it to our rocket. Alright, so we have that set up to deliver metallurgic science. And what we're still not doing great on rocket fuel, although I suppose it could be worse. We have an entire extra rocket after this one. How much of this goes in? 1,000 metallurgic science per rocket. That is quite a lot. And currently production is very slow. And that's... Okay, well, first of all, this needs to actually connect. That's important. And secondly, our inputs seem fine. So let's speed module you so we can get more of that good stuff. And then we might need to also improve the molten copper, because that looks like it is decreasing. So you get a speed module. And, oh, you didn't get... Why are you not getting calcite? There's calcite right there. I have a long hit. Oh, that's facing backwards. That's why you're not getting calcite. There, alright. So with you going, we shouldn't need these speed modules. Just having 2 of these should be plenty, I would hope. So now we have that going through. And this is now producing at pretty good speed. And because I am impatient, let's get you beaconed so you can go absolutely crazy as long as we have resources, which we're probably going to run out of pretty soon. But that is metallurgic science automated and sent into a rocket. Alright, I think we're going to call it there. Thanks for hanging out. We have managed to, I believe, fully automate metallurgic science. And yep, it isn't fast, but it is something. And something is pretty good. So now we can unlock cliff explosives to make this absolute nightmare not a problem anymore. We can do asteroid reprocessing to get more efficient use of that stuff. And probably some other stuff too. I think like artillery is an option. So, we're going to wrap up there. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I'll be streaming again on Monday. And you didn't bother with cliff explosives? How do you deal with all of this nonsense without cliff explosives? You just gotta have them. But so yeah, I'll be streaming again on Monday. Be doing Factorio again, and let's see here. We're probably going to be improving this. The space you had was big enough, like the top left. Yeah, I should have built up there. It's just sort of far from. It's just sort of far from like the calcite and everything. I probably should have built up there, but we can do more there. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be doing more of this next time, probably expanding the metallurgic science production, and then who knows what'll be next. I'll have to figure that out. So thanks for hanging out.